Okay, for those of you that don't know, I'm a returning student for like the third time, going back to finish my terminal degree and get my DNP. And I thought maybe, how about if I give my study tips on what I do to survive? Currently in an online program, and online programs are a bit different than the traditional brick and mortar classroom. I'm imagining you all have probably figured that out. So here's 10 tips that I thought would help maybe get you to that next level. Number one, how do you learn? Have you ever heard of the VARK method? VARK. Google it, look it up, and take the little quiz. I promise it's worth 15 minutes of your day. Number two, make sure you schedule study time like it's your freaking job. You need to schedule time. Put it into a allotted time on your days off, when you get home from work, in the morning when you wake up. You need to schedule it in your planner like it is literally your job, because quite honestly, it sometimes is. Number three, and this is probably this is the key element in many of nursing school programs, is you need to pre-plan the classroom rubric. The rubric is how you are graded on anything that you are required to submit, whether it be a discussion room post or a formal paper, a PowerPoint, anything that you have to turn in and get graded, it gets graded against a scaled rubric. Take a look at the rubric before you start anything, and I guarantee you your grades will get better. You literally, it's a way of, it's cheating. I don't want to say, okay, maybe it is, maybe it isn't, maybe it is. But you literally are targeting exactly what the professor is asking for. What better way to study and to customize your studying, your note-taking towards what the professor is exactly asking from you. One of the big pains of nursing school is that you're told to study the next 7 chapters and it'll be on something in those 7 chapters. Well, the rubric helps you whittle down those 7 chapters to exactly what they want. And if they don't have a posted rubric, maybe you should ask for one. Number 4, take notes. But take notes in every stage of your studying. If you're reading a chapter and you're a highlighter like me, you usually highlight the whole page. But take pieces of that chapter, those couple pages, that particular section, jot down a couple notes that are highlighting what you have taken from that reading section, so that when you go back to study it, you're not sifting page after page, paragraph after paragraph, highlight word after highlighted word to figure out what the concept was or to figure out what it is you were supposed to remember. Because after 7 chapters, things are just going to kind of blend together. Number 5, and I'm really bad at this, but you need to set a timer. If you've ever heard of the Pomodoro technique, Pomodoro. Did I spell that right? Pomodoro. Pomodoro technique is scheduling your breaks. It's literally that simple. 4 cycles of, in the traditional sense, Pomodoro is 25 minutes on, 5 minutes off. You do that 4 times, and then you take a 15-minute break. So if you can do the math, that is literally 2 hours of scheduled studying. Now, if 25 minutes is not your jam, maybe do 15 minutes and a 5-minute break, but make sure the working time is longer than the break time. The idea is to incrementally schedule your breaks so that you give yourself a mental holiday so that your brain can breathe, you can absorb what you have just read and or consumed, and then you can move on a little bit refreshed. Is it a complete refresher? Absolutely not. But it's a way of avoiding mental burnout. Number 6. Create a study ritual, whatever that is. For me, back in the day, I had to have music playing in the background, or I had to print off every single sheet and read it on a traditional piece of paper. Nowadays, I've adapted my learning to, I make sure that I have my iPad out. I download certain things I know I want to read, and I read them on my iPad versus reading them on my computer screen. I also have specific programs that I use when it comes to the way that I study, and I could share that in another video. Speaking of which, if you don't know who Nurse Liz is, Nurse Liz, you should check out Nurse Liz and her studying techniques. I'll try and remember to include that in the description. But create your own study ritual or copy someone else's and then customize it to your wants and needs. Number 7, know your weaknesses. What do you suck at? What distracts you easily when you're studying? If you're using the Pomodoro technique, your 25 minutes of focused study time, and you get distracted easily, you need to eliminate whatever those distractions are. Maybe it's the internet, maybe it's your phone, maybe it's social media, hint, hint, because those are mine. So I have to figure out a way to turn that off, flip the phone down, do your best. Number 8. Number 8 is do everything in small increments. Don't binge study. Don't try and do 7 hours. Don't try and do 2 weeks of work in 7 hours. You got to do it in pieces, small increments, an hour here, an hour there. Instead of not studying daily, you should try and study every day for a small amount of time. Now, life usually doesn't allow that to happen. In my life, that just doesn't happen. I work, the schedule that I work and the shifts I work, I'm not mentally able to do any kind of focused studying on my days that I work. So on my days off, I do chunks of time, or I try to do chunks in the morning, chunks at night. I'm not perfect and I'm getting better at it, but you want to make sure that you know what your weaknesses are, hint, hint, and make sure you study and do it in increments. Don't do what we all did during our first round of college, or maybe that's just me. Don't try and lump it all into one day-long cram session, because guess what? You ain't going to remember nothing. Number 9 is make sure that you are utilizing all of your resources. Hello, the internet. You should be utilizing it. Utilizing help from your friends, your colleagues, your coworkers, any kind of tutors, your professor, your advisor, people you work with, people that have gone through this before, utilizing school resources because every school offers them. And last but not least, there's a ton of paid services out there. So, number 10, last tip is do not practice insanity. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. If what you did gives you a grade that you weren't happy with, then you need to adjust your sails. You need to adjust your path. Take a step to the left, take a step to the right. You need to adjust, pepper this a little bit more, do a little bit of this less. Talk to your classmates, see what they got on their grades. Talk to the professor. What did you do right? What did you do wrong? Assess, reassess, and adjust. Whatever you do, don't keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting something better. That's just literally going to drive you insane, make you unhappy, and lead to complete burnout. The idea behind all of this is that it's not that you're studying for a grade, even though the grades are great. Who doesn't like getting an A? The grades are important in the moment. But what's more important is that you are absorbing what is being taught. Are you getting the bigger picture? Are you memorizing the finer details that are going to matter at the end of the day? Because you're not studying to get a grade. You're studying because sooner or later, you are going to be the only thing standing between your patient and the grave. That's what you're studying for. And as always, make sure you check your own pulse first.